25.
Hey.
So we do have quorum. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with that excruciating process. Nicole, is Zoom recording, AI summarization, and closed captioning, those are all working?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did we try closed captioning on one more time?
Hmm.
We turned closed captioning off, but we'll turn it back on here.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Brief, let me step up here. Most of this applies to Zoom people. For this brief technical overview, if you're participating remotely, sign on with the phone or your computer, not both. If you're on Zoom, please stay muted unless you're speaking. If you signed on with anything other than your first and last name, please change it on Zoom so we know who you are. For Zoom attendees, please be advised that questions on chat may not be answered. If someone wishes to take the task of speaking for the person chatting, they're welcome to do that. A democratic rules of order can be found at the link in the agenda. It's at www.democraticrules.com. And a flow chart and downloadable summary of the rules can be found in the right margin of that page. Please raise your hand using the emoji we just discovered to speak to a motion or participate in open discussion, and then lower your hand after you've been recognized or no longer to speak. Everyone can lower your hands now. When you raise your hand, it may also help if you state in the chat that your hand is raised. Thank you. For those in the room, audio is this device here on the table. It should be able to pick you up in the audience if you speak up and speak clearly. If you'd like, you're welcome to step forward if you're speaking to be closer. It might help too if at least the first time you speak, you state your name. Are there any questions about any of that? Okay, thank you all so much for being here tonight. I do want to get that in. Really appreciate you coming here to support your local democracy and the work that we're doing on behalf of the island. We will read the land acknowledgement next. I have several to choose from, and I'd like to ask for some volunteer in the room to pick one of these and read it if you'd be so kind. You can be a board member or somebody else. Anybody?
I'll read it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We acknowledge and honor the tribes of Washington State as political entities. We commit to respecting the laws of treaties and sovereignty under the United States Constitution, Article 6. We commit to taking actions of reconciliation, working with the tribes to identify ways to steward the land, restore habitats, and fostering practices that will benefit future generations.
Thank you, Anne. Our bylaws require that a land acknowledgement be read at the beginning of every council meeting and board meeting. I'll say a few words about rules of conduct. The council is committed to conducting its meetings in a civil, respectful, and courteous manner. We expect all participants to demonstrate common courtesy and respect toward fellow islanders and guests. As we build our new council, we're dedicated to creating a safe and healing space to address our shared interests. Rudeness, personal criticism, and ridicule, including in online chat contributions, are not acceptable and will not be tolerated. Please, everyone, keep your remarks focused on the issues, not on individuals. We're here because we're stronger together. And as is traditional, I'd ask for a show of hands to demonstrate your intent to honor the rules of conduct, please. Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda, we'll finalize the minutes of the previous council meeting. Nicole, can you bring those up on the screen, please? These were also sent out in the meeting announcement.
I thought that I had them open. Oh, I guess not.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept these minutes?
So
It's been moved by Dan. Is there a second?
second.
Seconded. I'm going to need you to keep an eye on Zoom. It's really hard to divide my attention. Was there discussion about approving the minutes of the last council meeting? Are there any corrections to be made? Anyone on Zoom? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of the July 17th, 2025 council meeting, please raise your hand. And 10 in the room, and 8, 9, 10. Is everybody, Jen, you agree? 10 in the room and 10 on Zoom. And you can put your hands down now on Zoom. Thank you for those who voted for. Those opposed? And opposed and abstentions. One
One floater.
One of them.
Mary, I appreciate the thumbs up, and it's also going to make it easier for our vote counting if you're able to use. Oh, I see, it showed up now. Thank you. And that was an abstention. So we got 20 in favor, none opposed, and 1 abstention. So that's where with your count, Jen? We don't have a presentation scheduled for this month. If you would be willing to organize a presentation for future meetings, please contact us either at any of our board members' emails or at info@bmcc.org. We'd really appreciate some help in providing that kind of material. Next, I'll introduce the rules of procedure. And here are some important things to know. Only council members can vote. If you've recently joined, you will know your membership has been processed if you have received a welcome email from Debbie Jackson. And we have good faith voting, which means that if people say they're council members, we believe that. And so if you're not a council member, don't vote. Can everybody please raise your hands to affirm that and that you understand that and follow that? Thank you very much. We'll move on to old business. However, there are no pending motions. So we'll move right to new business. Oh, I did want to point out, before I forget, the rules of procedure. I did include this month an addendum, information regarding new business. Oh, yes, here it is. See addendum 1 for information regarding new business. There are lots of things that can be done in a council meeting other than just asking for a majority vote on resolutions. And this addendum outlines some of those. However, we do have at least 2 items of new business this month. The first is a request from the board for guidance regarding the questions singular to be asked at the September 24th community forum with District 34 legislators. Jen, will you please introduce this topic?
May I ask for Jessica to?
Oh, Jessica, would you like to introduce the topic? Thank you.
Oh,
You seem to be muted, Jessica.
Okay,
That looks
put
good.
your little-
Mm.
Jessica, there seems to be an issue with your microphone.
I thought we heard that.
We do.
Since her audio is out, would you be willing to introduce?
Sure. Well, the King County, so the Washington State is organizing a legislative meeting for the community to meet with their elected representatives from Vashon. I believe it's going to be held at the Vashon Center for the Arts. Each organization of Vashon is invited to send one representative, and the community can also attend, is my understanding. We've elected to ask Jessica Anakar to represent the community council. And we've also been invited to submit one question to represent the community council to that forum. So we wanted to propose to you questions so that you can vote on them and help determine what we would like to ask them. And Jessica, I'm hoping that you might have audio.
Did you decide upon a voting procedure?
So I have Zoom set up to do voting. What we would need is the potential content of the questions.
And Jessica has those.
Okay, so maybe we can take some suggestions from the floor on what questions we would want to ask in September.
Okay. I know that you'd considered several different topics. Do those spring to mind?
So healthcare, housing,
Some fairies.
ferries were potential topics. And we can do a vote on Zoom and in the room for what kind of topic we would want to ask.
And what is the decision mechanism with that you figured out?
I'm typing into Zoom, and I hope that once I hit save, then Nicole would be able to send it to the people who are on Zoom, and then we can ask in the room for show of hands.
But I mean, are we going to keep voting till there's a majority, or take the one with the highest plurality, or vote on the two highest vote getters, or what is your plan?
Let's eliminate it down to two, and then do a runoff of the two.
So the idea is we'll vote on each candidate question, and then the two that have the highest votes will vote between those. So the winner will have a majority. Is that right?
Right.
If I understand this right, we're first of all looking for suggestions from Zoom or in the audience of a question we might ask to the 34th district legislators at this upcoming, the September 24th community meeting. Because the floor is open for suggestions of questions you think that they should be asked.
And JC Kevin has had his hand up.
Kevin?
If you're asking for suggested questions to ask, I'm happy to contribute one. Otherwise, just I'll wait until
Please
you're
do,
done.
yes, the floor is open for proposed questions.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Several organization or people on the island have been supporting passage of a bill that would allow private community solar installations on the island to be recognized by our utilities. Vashon-Maury Island is about the #4th highest solar density in the country. There's a huge appetite here for solar. There are at least one property owner who's come forward and saying that if the law changes, they would like to move forward with installing solar on their property as a community solar installation. So I would ask, what are our legislators doing to assure that community solar can become legal in Washington and require the utilities to honor private community solar installations?
Okay. The question concerns community solar and what are the legislators doing to make sure that it's legal in Washington and support community solar installations. Is that right, Kevin?
That is correct. I could probably put together a more succinct statement for you, but that's the general gist.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin. Are there other suggestions?
Do we
Yes,
get
Mark?
to discuss the proposal?
Yeah, we will. Right now, I'm just
Thank you.
getting questions and then we'll go through them one at a time.
Gotcha.
Are there other suggested questions for the legislators in the 34th district?
Any suggestions related to healthcare, housing?
Would you like to frame those as more of a question?
I guess the question is. You're right. So, we could either vote on topic areas to ask them and then refine the question after that. Or we can develop questions and then vote on the detail of the questions. I guess I would hand it back to.
So you're suggesting that we ask them something about healthcare.
That we can vote on the topic.
And how would the question be determined then?
And we could open it up to the floor to ask the question.
Oh, so we would determine the question tonight if that passes. I see. Are there other questions or topic areas that people would like to propose?
But we could just do it the same way, knowing that here's some topics that people are interested in, and then just formulate the questions and vote on the questions.
We could formulate the question.
Yeah.
I propose that we get whatever questions people have and whatever topic areas I think are critical, and then go through those one by one and discuss them and vote on them. And then the two top ones will have another vote. Would you like?
That's great.
Would you like to move that process? That we adopt that process?
I move that we have a vote to select our top 2 priority areas and then develop questions and then have a runoff.
No, we're not gonna do areas. I thought JC said
Develop
we're gonna develop questions and then vote on them.
Well, actually, and I had said we could choose areas, but if we choose an area, that would be followed by determining a specific question.
It looks like Justin has his hand.
Yes, Justin? Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Yeah, I have a few specific issues I could raise for ferries that have been an issue for us on the Ferry Advisory Committee. I don't want to do that to the detriment of other very important questions. And so I wonder, you know, I have not been involved in organizing this forum, but I wonder if there would be a way that ferries or the Ferry Advisory Committee could have its own seat or a moment in this panel for the meeting.
Yes, I'm surprised to hear that you're not involved with it, and we'll follow up after the meeting, Justin, to make sure you are.
Okay, very good.
Is there a second to decide that we'll go ahead with this process as I've described it as continuing to generate any questions or topic areas, vote on each one, and then have a runoff. Is there a second for that? Debbie, second. Okay, do we need to discuss this procedure or move to a vote? All those in favor of the procedure, please raise your hand. Six in the room. Is that your count also?
Yes.
And 5 on Zoom. Everyone Zoom voted constant. That's 11. All those opposed. 1 in the room opposed on Zoom. 1. 2 opposed. Abstaining.
Point of order,
Yes.
you don't need to count abstaining votes. Page 22 of the Democratic Rules of Order, we only count for and
Okay.
against, that saves some time.
Thank you for that clarification. So Jen, you have 11 in favor, 2 opposed.
Yes.
So the procedure at least passes. Now I'll open the floor again for any further questions or topic area, or we move to considering them. Mike?
So this is a question. What can our state legislature do to assure community input in decisions made by public utilities?
Okay. What can the legislature do to assure community input in decisions made about public utilities?
I mean, by public utilities.
By public utilities.
Can I ask you a question?
No, Mike,
I think we're
not
going
right
to
now,
discuss
not
this.
into discussion yet.
Yeah.
We're just,
The reason I raise this is to clarify. Puget Sound
would
Energy,
you please wait till we move into discussion of the particulars? Okay. Are there other questions or topic areas you want to consider for this question? Topic areas. Diane?
I have a question
Yeah.
for them. I'd like to know what is being done to regulate Airbnbs, VRBOs, short-term rentals.
What is being done to regulate B&Bs,
VRBO.
VRBOs,
VRBOs and other short-term
and
rentals
other short-term rental?
to encourage long-term rental.
To encourage long-term rentals.
Yes.
Okay, what is being done to regulate B&Bs, VRBOs, and other short-term rentals to encourage long-term rentals? Very well. Are there others? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the next stage of this process. Want to work with you to move through this list one at a time and take a vote of those, just those in favor of each one.
For one here. What will our legislators do to ensure changes to state law to require electric utilities to import private community solar installations and utility billing procedures?
I see, that's an update of the prior question.
Yeah, it's from Kevin.
Okay, could you read
That
it?
is correct, yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Lois? I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm sorry.
My name's
Oh,
Kathleen.
hi,
and-
Kathleen.
Hi. The question is, what can be done on Vashon Island for homeless when the heat is so high or the weather is of extreme cold for shelter?
Okay.
during those periods of time.
What was that last thing about periods of time?
During those periods of time when the
I
heat
see.
is so
What can be
high
done for the homeless on Vashon when it's very hot or cold during those periods of time
at night, yes.
At night.
at night? Okay. If there are none other, I'm going to close out the questions and yes, Mike,
Are we still responding to the first question?
we haven't moved into that part of procedure yet.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to get that going right now. So Jen, are you prepared to like read each of these one at a time and then I'll conduct the vote just of those in favor? Is that how you envision it?
I have them loaded into Zoom, so I think that Nicole can turn on the poll,
Oh,
and I'm hoping that we can see it on the screen and that the people who are on Zoom will be able to vote.
and so this on Zoom will be like a poll for each of these questions?
All of the questions are listed.
Oh, that's a different understanding than I had. I thought we were going to go through them.
Oh, and
One by
discuss
one.
them one by one. But how about I bring you my computer so that you can see them one by one? Or Nicole, are you able to bring up polling in Zoom?
Hold on, I don't.
Maybe I can send you a screenshot.
Thanks everyone for bearing with this process. It's the first time we've tackled a complicated voting procedure like this.
Yeah.
But I believe we will get through this quickly once we get going on it. So the first question proposed was community solar. Nicole, that's not going to work. That's not how we're doing this.
Oh,
I think we should just,
but it gives the questions.
oh, okay.
It gives the question.
But please move it to the side so we can see people's hands if they're raised or not. Okay, so regarding community solar, will you read the question, please, Jen?
What will our legislators do to assure changes to state law to require electric utilities to include private community solar installations in utility billing procedures?
Very well. All those in favor, oh, we're going to discuss it. Is there discussion? Yes, Mike.
So I'm concerned that we would give the legislators the idea that the community supports this without any caveats. I mean, basically what you're talking about is an industrial installation on the island. And, you know, siting of such a thing is really important to people on this island. There are lots of places where you might do a community solar installation that people would find to be a detriment to the community. And so it just worries me that we would give them the idea that we are supporting this in the form of a question.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion?
Well, I'm gonna say, I don't understand, I guess I don't know what a private community solar installation is. I don't know what that means.
Kevin, would you please address what is a private community solar installation?
Yes, it's, I think, not accurate to refer to anything like this as commercial. We're talking about maybe a property owner who has 2 or 3 acres and would like to make a portion of that land where they would install a set of solar panels, not unlike what you see at the landfill. And so a private would mean that it's something that's funded by the landowner. It's not funded by the utility. It ends up being owned by the landowner. Right now, the opposition to this law, which has been before the legislature now 2 different sessions, is that the utilities want to own the infrastructure. They want to own the means of producing power. I think it's more appropriate to have distributed power. Community solar does not imply a huge array. It can be something that's actually quite small, but that landowner might already have rooftop solar and they want to put a few more solar panels in their backyard to be able to serve our community in the event that the lights go out and Puget Sound Energy cuts our power, which they're now talking about doing during wildfire season. So those are some of the benefits of moving forward with this kind of a request. Hopefully that answers your questions.
Thank you, Kevin. Beyond answering the question, since you proposed this question, is there anything else you'd like to say in support of it right now?
We know that one landowner has been actively supporting this. He's previously been involved with the Vashon-Maury Community Council. You would know him by name. I won't mention his name because he's not here. A second landowner who has not made their name available to me has come forward and said they also like this concept. So I would also say that certainly any installation like that is going to be subject to reviews, permitting applications, and probably a public review comment, much like we're discussing today. So I appreciate the fact that some people may view solar panels as an eyesore, and some of them may view them as a lifesaver. But all of that would be discussed during the public review and permitting process.
Thanks very much, Kevin. Is there further discussion? Yes, Debbie?
Well, yeah, I wanted to
Oh.
thank Kevin for addressing that because that was my question following his discussion. If there was zoning or permitting or, you know, some procedure, and obviously there appears to be, so. That was helpful.
Thank you, Debbie. Is there further discussion, Drew?
Hi, I'm not a professional engineer, but one of the choices that will have to be made when you choose to install solar panels is a lot of times they will be shaded, and then that decreases further efficiency conversion. And the second thing is that lately, meaning the last several years, that solar panels, solar energy has evolved with the use of perovskite inks to generate generate voltage, and that the use of perovskite solar panels is far less injurious to the environment than is the use of silicon-based solar panels, which silicon-based solar panels, you know, they push the environmental devastation someplace where we don't see, but it still happens. Whereas perovskite is, as I said earlier, less injurious. Not a professional engineer.
Thanks very much, Drew. Is there further discussion of this question?
I'd like to
Yeah,
make a
I
comment.
agree.
I used to work for the county, but I don't know more. I had no uses for the county, reasons sometimes. But Kevin's right, there's gonna be some permitting that would be handled there. And I think, so the question is in part, how is the solar installation viewed in terms of permitted uses for zoning issues? And the county would review that. And then also for potential structural impacts to a building, would be reviewed. So I think that, my guess is that for anything other than one or two solar panels that might sneak by, there's going to be some consideration of those questions at county level, not at the state level.
I think.
But that would depend on what the state legislation says, right?
Well, I guess, well, is it possible for you to put up your own solar panel without any state approval?
I don't know, but I mean, a community solar project could be one or two panels. It could also be 20 acres with 100 panels on it.
Right.
Which would serve the community. It depends on how it is defined in the legislation and what permitting it's subject to given the legislation.
I think that, so maybe what Kevin meant, and I'm just interpreting here, so Kevin, if I'm wrong.
Well,
because-
Greg, why don't I ask Kevin to address that then?
Okay, so, what was my question? I just lost it.
Kevin, do you want to address that concern?
The the change in the law would be that given a private installation of solar panels that serves more than the need of the homeowner, which would have to go through all the permitting processes and so on. The only change that this question refers to is requiring the utility to recognize that as a community solar project, so that when people subscribe to that community solar installation, the utility is required to give that subscriber a financial benefit for the power generated by that solar array. This question has nothing to do with the permitting process or zoning or any of those other things. It just says that if a community moves forward with whatever permitting or other regulations are in place already to guide the installation of these types of solar panels, that the utility would be required to include that system in its billing practices, just like PSE does today with their own utility-owned community solar. So that's the only change that this question would be focused on. And the legislators, I think, are probably well aware of that because they've seen this legislation twice. The question here is, what can we do to move that legislation forward?
Thank you for the clarification, Kevin. Yes.
Yeah, I'm Bill Miller. Energy, solar energy is obviously a very important issue, but I've now heard about this issue for the last 5 minutes or so. It's very complicated. What I've learned in 5 minutes is not sufficient for me to give this a priority of something that I want the legislature to address. It may be a very good bill. I don't know. I don't know enough to prioritize them.
Thank you, Bill. And we do have a number of topic areas to get through. I don't want this to go on all night. So is there any strong objection to moving to a vote on this right now?
Eric Walker has had his hand up for quite some
Sorry,
time.
Eric, I didn't see you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that we're discussing whether a question be asked. We're not asking to put forward a community council decision about this topic. It was simply proposed as, could this be a question that we ask?
Yes. Thank you for the clarification, Eric. Is there objection to moving to a show of hands to be in favor?
I guess I thought we were gonna discuss each question
We
and
are.
then vote.
Well,
Because
we're
I
gonna
don't know how to
no,
vote if
We're
I
gonna
have.
vote on each question in turn, and then we'll have a runoff. So
I
each
know, but I
question-
don't know personally, I don't know how I feel about this question until there's discussion about the other questions.
Well, I'm sorry.
Is
but I just don't think that's workable.
This is Virginia Laura. I also misunderstood what the procedure was. The idea of voting before we've had a brief discussion on all of them doesn't, to me, make sense. And it seems it'd be quicker to just have one vote once we've heard them all, see which two come out on top then, and then re-vote on those two.
Well, that is an alternative procedure, but that's not my understanding of what was adopted. I understand the idea that you would like to hear each of them discussed, which we could accommodate that, I think, but I think we settled our voting one by one and then decided it by a runoff. So
I don't know what the rules of order are, but can I introduce an amendment or something to ask us to reconsider it, since there are at least two of us and perhaps others who misunderstood when the voting would occur? I mean, there would be voting after them, but I assumed it would be after they were all discussed, not after each one.
yeah, that's what I was trying to articulate right now as a modification.
Okay,
We'll discuss all of them and then go back and vote on each of them one by one and then have a run-up.
Okay, great. That's
Okay,
acceptable.
everybody?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to this discussion of the second one, which is something about healthcare. Is that right?
Yes.
Would-
So
would
one
you
of the
like to speak
topics
to
would
that?
be healthcare. Is there a recommendation for a question related to healthcare?
Well, I have one, and I'm not sure it's on. I have a question, but I'm not sure it's all that well informed, so you guys can let me know. But in view of some of the federal cuts that have been happening, does the legislature have a bill or some way of ameliorating the fallout to people that might get removed from Medicaid rules? And even if Medicare has some issues. Does the state have something to address that?
Thank you, Debbie. All right, is there further discussion on the idea that the question should be something to do with healthcare? If not, seeing none, we'll move on to the next proposed question. What is that? Jen?
Next question is about housing.
I'm sorry, what was it?
The next question is about housing.
Housing. Did
So
you
it
also
seems,
see that?
it seems that one of the questions that has been proposed, what can be done on Vashon Island for shelter for the homeless at night when there's extreme weather, hot or cold, is also related to housing.
Also, the,
Well, isn't that being done to regulate short-term rentals? That's also.
That's
yeah,
also
also that one about B&Bs, VRBOs, and other short-term rentals.
So would it be okay with the council to remove the general category of housing and leave the other existing questions?
Since we have specifics, is there any objection to that?
I don't have an objection, but is Vashon household part of the folks that are being invited to the farm? Maybe they'll have some relevant questions. Or do you even know, because
Yeah, do we know who's being, we don't, right?
I didn't see a list. Do we know who's invited to the forum?
which,
With all the other
Members of
organizations.
various organizations, but I have not seen the list of organizations. Are there other proposed arguments for asking a question about housing or other particular housing questions people would like to bring up at this time? Yes, Deborah?
Sorry, I was trying to get off mute. I'm actually curious, and this actually speaks to a couple of them. Would it make sense to ask a question that covered multiple topics? To say something like, because part of it is we're concerned about losing protections, benefits, and securities related to some of the current government. So what is our local government planning to do to protect citizens who are losing food security, housing, medical care, education, access to services based on, multiple, just generally, what are they going to do to protect us from changes that are being implemented? Because it could cover a lot of bases. And I don't know if other agencies are going to ask each of those questions individually, or do we want to ask an umbrella question that could cover a lot of that? I don't know.
Thank you, Deborah. I'm going to broaden the discussion to also include our topics of short-term rentals and also what can be done for the homeless when the temperature gets really bad, since these all
Whole other thing.
since these all pertain to housing. Is there any discussion about whether we should further some housing question? Yeah, Bill?
I just would like to have some information about how serious these issues are. How many homeless do we have on the island? Are we talking about a handful or hundreds? I don't know how serious a problem it is. And likewise, what are the issues with short-term rentals? Again, are we talking about a dozen places or hundreds? What damage are they doing? I just don't know what the scope of the problem
Oh,
is.
sorry. Scope of the problem.
I'd like to respond.
Yes, Diane.
At the last homeless count, that we have every winter, I believe there were 175 people on Vashon who were classified as homeless. So it's not a tiny problem.
Okay.
There's a lot of people living in their vehicles. They're not as visible as an encampment might be, but they're out there. And so that's, and the current and related to the overnight thing, there's shelter during the day for heat, and there's shelter during the day when it's cold, but there's no shelter at night on this island. There hasn't been for several years for people who are homeless at all.
Where's the daytime shelter?
The daytime shelters, you see it advertised, you can go, I think, to the movie theater, you can go to one of the churches to be in a cool place. But at night, there's nothing at night for people who are homeless. And it's especially, it gets cooler at night, but in the winter, it gets colder at night.
Right.
So it's particularly dangerous then. And it's been that way for several years. So that's that.
Did you want to speak to the B&Bs, et cetera?
There are a huge number of Airbnb short-term rentals on this island. I've heard estimates in the hundreds on this island. And it becomes an issue for neighborhoods when they don't have neighbors anymore. So many of the houses, like on the Burton Loop, so many are now Airbnbs that people feel like the noise and the strangeness and that they feel like they're losing their community. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is we have so little rental housing available now.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it for Jen?
Regarding Airbnb and short-term rentals, I wonder if that's something that's more related to King County? And are these state legislators that are going to be?
Good point.
Yeah, so
I
perhaps,
could take it, I would be happy to take that question.
I think it's an important question, but maybe
To the wrong, different.
maybe that. Yeah. Is it okay to withdraw that one?
Can we,
Well, that would be for both of them. You're talking about both of them are in King County. The rentals and
the shelter.
let's defer that till we come back to the topic. Is it okay to move on to the next topic area? All right, Jen, will you please read the next item?
Ferries. So I wonder if Justin has.
This topic of something about the ferries. Well, Justin, as I understood it, we're going to ensure that the Vashon Ferry Advisory Council has a presence at this meeting.
That would be lovely. I definitely, if I could just have a little bit of latitude for a moment, you know, there are some real specific needs that the ferries have that I think people may not be considering. And one thing that we've repeatedly been bringing up with the Ferry Advisory Committee is the need for a generator at the Tahlequah terminal, because when power goes out, that terminal suddenly becomes inoperable. There is a very complicated procedure by which a ferry can actually power the dock, but it's complicated and a little bit dangerous for the crew to hook up. And I think a backup generator for that terminal really may not be like the first thing that comes to mind when we're commuting, but it really could be a thing that would just immensely come in handy for the island at some pretty extreme moments. So that's kind of the top of my list: additional cameras, and then some questions about the Fauntleroy terminal project and stuff like that. So
Are you proposing that then for a question from the MCC to the legislators?
well, it might be better. There's a lot of other really valid questions that people have brought up, and it might be better for ferries really to have its own moment rather than to try and add something into the community council here.
Okay, and this gathering was organized by I think it's Vashonites for Ferry Action or something like that, you know, of that group.
IFA.
Okay, let's move on then. What's the next proposed question? I have it.
So I have, what can the legislature do to assure community input by public utilities?
Yes. And Mike, you proposed that, I think?
Yeah,
Would you like to speak to that?
yeah, it's for public utilities, not by public utilities.
For public utilities. So please restate the question.
What can the legislature do to assure effective community input on actions by public utilities?
Oh, I see.
And I guess the example is, I mean, just before things kind of gotten shaken up with council, there's a lot of discussion about projects to upgrade the electrical system here on the island. And in a couple of specific locations. And what became very clear was that there was no effective way for people on Vashon to say, this is what we want, this is what we don't want, and to have a voice. And you know, the legislature controls the public utilities and has the ability to legislate and require that kind of community dialogue and buy-in.
Thank you. Michael?
So since you mentioned Puget, they're a private utility, that's what I was, that's what got me going, and you know, I have it all back. So you might want to change your wording on that to say private utilities if your issue is totally focused on Puget, because they're not a public.
Well, yeah, and it's not just Puget, but Ben, if you can just get rid of the word public and say utilities.
Yes, there you go.
Perhaps that would.
Well, that looks like movers privilege.
It still is. Puget Sound Energy is regulated by the state. They have to go through anything, you know, when they raise rates and all that kind of stuff.
So I don't know if you on Zoom all caught that, but we're talking about what can the legislature do to assure effective communication and input by actions by utilities. Is it Michael?
So I'm sure Kevin and a few other people on Zoom could talk about this better than me, but I'll just say that a number of bills have been passed recently that impact utilities. And then there is a state organization called the Utility and Transportation Commission that regulates the private utilities. And the public is often invited to go to their meetings and make comments. So I'm just bringing that up, that those are two avenues through the legislature and through the UTC in terms of giving your opinion on policies of a utility, private utility.
We tried to utilize those in the last go round and got nowhere. So.
Are you saying that the amendments already exist? We don't need any new legislation?
No, I'm saying that in terms of trying to voice your opinion and have maybe make a change, like what you're talking about, that could potentially go through the state legislature and through our state representatives. It could go that way. And or it could go through what's called the Utility and Transportation Commission, which sole purpose is to regulate utilities in the state.
That would be great, but what we were told last time by the commission was, this is not our business. So,
okay, well then it would probably be the best route to me would be going through the legislature. And
What
I'm-
rationale did they give for that? Because it sounds like it is their business.
You know, we quoted chapter and verse from the state law that sets up the commission. And they simply decline to uphold their responsibilities. I don't know, you know what, I don't know what more to tell you, you know, except they just told us to go away and this wasn't their business.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you too. Is there further discussion on this proposed question?
Should I ask a question?
Yes, please, Ray.
So, well, would it be necessary or appropriate to say what kind of utilities, electric utilities, not to include gas, water, and sewer, for example?
I don't know why those utilities shouldn't include vigorous public input either.
Neither do I. I'm just wondering if your intent was to talk about electricity, or was it talk about
No.
things like might affect District 19?
No, it was just that was just an example. Yeah.
Okay. Can we move on? Very well, the next item, Jen.
What is being done to regulate short-term rentals, Airbnb?
I'm the two additional housing ones I've grouped under housing. So if housing is selected, then I'll return to the specific questions. That's okay.
Got it.
And are there any others other than the umbrella one?
I like the umbrella idea. Seems like we're getting more bang for our buck.
Yeah.
Is just,
Go
this
ahead.
is a general question, doesn't have to do with these questions that are directly. Is it okay for the council without, you know, going through some very big procedure to go to whoever is setting this up and suggest to them that the Ferry Advisory Board and Vashon, that's the housing organization, would be included as groups in this process?
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm going to check with them after this meeting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. Is there other discussion of the umbrella idea that we should ask something along the lines of, given the cutbacks and federal support, what is the legislature doing or going to do to protect us from various ills, such as to ensure food security and from, I'm sorry, I didn't write it all down, from other changes that are being implemented to our detriment. Do you have a better?
We're concerned about recent federal changes resulting in loss of support for food, housing, education, and access to services. What is the state doing to add support given withdrawal of federal funds?
Yes, is there, thank you. Bill?
Wasn't that supposed to also include health services such as Medicaid?
Thank you. Bill.
Yeah, this seems like it's part of a much broader question. What role should the legislature have in confronting and possibly opposing and changing Trump administration initiatives? For example, it's not just money. Here's the question that has come up this week of possibly eliminating write-in voting, which of course would affect Washington State tremendously. And that seems to be a critical issue that I'd like the legislature to know something to speak about that, or to see what it can do about that. And it's just part of this broader question of federalization of a lot of state programs. Pretty much voting is considered to be a state responsibility, much as these other things are considered state responsibilities or have been. And now we're seeing a change in the administration's position on these things. So there's this very broad question. I'm not quite sure how to phrase it, but I think it's more than just Medicaid or health or some other things. It's the whole gamut of federal state relationships.
Yeah, what about?
Is there further, Debbie, is that you?
Oh, sorry, just saying, like, we're sending the National Guard here. Nothing else.
Is there other discussion of asking a general question along these lines that have been described, Kathleen?
My question is, it would be helpful if we knew if the nonprofits were each of them being invited to offer a question. I wasn't sure in the beginning if you said the businesses were allowed to present a person, or how were they selecting people to present their question? I didn't hear that correctly in the beginning.
I got the impression they're island nonprofit organizations, but I haven't seen the list. Island organizations, maybe she said.
Just all we have is the organizations. We don't know if they're businesses or nonprofits or.
I got the impression they were island organizations or nonprofits, but I'm sorry, I don't have more exact information.
Okay, thanks.
And Jessica, if you know anything more about that, you could, I know somebody watching the chat, or you see the chat, you could put it in chat and read it. Is there any other discussion about the general umbrella question?
I'd like to.
Yes, great.
Support the idea of some kind of a questions that asks them what are they going to do about stuff coming from the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
These are not normal times, and seems to me like it might be time to rise to the occasion for the state to make more of a statement.
Thank you.
So I think if I was going to vote for one, it would be that one.
Mm-hmm. Is there further discussion? Very well, let's go down the list then and get a show of hands for people who approve of each question. And is it, Jen, is your understanding that people can vote as many times as they like?
It was my understanding that we would vote multiple choice, so everybody would vote for one, and then we would have a runoff in the top two.
Okay.
We have one more question though.
Oh, what is that question?
The question is, what is the legislature going to do to ensure the protections of biological data and educate people on the ways that neural activity can be both read and altered remotely, as documented by declassified military documents, patents, and scientific studies?
We've closed off the questions long ago. What is? I'm sorry. We're gonna. It's going too long. We've got other business. I'm just going to move through this list that we have. So the mover has said her intention is that people just get one vote, and you vote for your favorite question to be proposed at this hearing.
And I think on Zoom we can run the poll.
Okay.
And then we could have a show of hands among
Very
people
well.
in the room.
So unless there's objection, we'll go ahead with this procedure for the state of.
Casey, was that last one added about how is the state going to address the the federal government federal actions about mail-in voting, and that was a great one, and healthcare and all sorts of stuff.
What is your
I
question?
wondered if that was added to
The umbrella one, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And one last quick question, comment. Considering the fact that there's going to be a lot of organizations meeting together, I would predict, I'd be willing to bet a 6-pack of Belgian ale that somebody else is going to give the same question that we would about what are you going to do about the feds. So one thing we might consider is that if we have another question that's important, I like the solar question a lot too. Maybe we should vote with the idea that somebody's gonna raise that question and it might,
Yeah,
might not to duplicate that.
I certainly take your point. We're going to have a runner-up question.
Okay.
And Jessica will be provided with both of them as well. She's been a party to this whole discussion. I'm sure she's not gonna ask a redundant question, so she'll be prepared because of this procedure.
Okay, good.
So as I understand it, there's going to be a Zoom poll. Everybody gets one vote on the poll items, which are each of our candidate questions or areas, and then we'll run through these here in the room. Is the Zoom poll underway?
We're trying to get the new poll loaded. It's not working. I reloaded it onto Zoom and it's not working.
So
So we'll just read them. Okay.
So my understanding is since the Zoom poll isn't working, we're just going to go through and vote one by one, both in the room and on Zoom simultaneously. But you'll have to move that poll to the side so we can see how people voted. So you'll be asked to raise your hands again for this process. So Jen, please read the first item.
The first one is a general question, and I have it now combined as with the question about the legislator protecting us, but we can refine this if it's selected. Reading the whole question, what is the state doing to add support given federal withdrawal of funds to food, housing, education?
Well, hold on, Jen, I thought our first question here was about community solar.
I can move that to first if that would be.
I thought we would just go through in the order that these were proposed.
I had a pre-existing order loaded with topics.
Oh, you're working from the poll, is that right? Oh, okay,
I'll move solar.
I don't think it's a big deal, just let's go from the order that you have.
Okay, what can the legislature do to, so I changed the order and now they're in a different order. Let me see if I can move the solar to the top.
Let's just go with the order that you have at this point, rather than delaying further.
Okay. What would the this is about public utilities. What will our legislators do to assure changes to the state law to require utilities to include private community solar installations in utility building procedures?
Thank you.
This is the solar question.
All those who favor that question, please raise your hand. Jen? I see one in the room and two on Zoom, is that right?
Yes.
All right, what is the next question you have?
General, what is the state doing to add support given federal withdrawal of funds to food, housing, education, healthcare, and access to services? How is the legislature protecting us against federal control, i.e. elections? So I grouped the general question.
Yes. All those in favor, please raise your hand. I have 8 in the room and 5 on Zoom. Is that what you got also?
That's what I have to.
What is the next question?
Deborah, I've selected command protection for LGBTQ plus and immigrant members of our community.
Okay, we'll refine the general question if selected to be more expansive to marginalized communities.
So what was that? I couldn't.
Can we include
Well,
protection?
I was thinking any of these questions,
We'll
topic
refine.
areas, we may refine a little bit. We're just trying to get direction from the council at this point, what they'd like us to ask Jen. Where specifically this can be formulated, but still. What is the next question?
Healthcare. In view of federal cuts, does the legislature have a way of assisting people who are being removed from Medicaid? or we can refine healthcare.
Question?
Yes, Bill?
I thought that was included as part of the last question about the federal cuts to programs.
Just that healthcare.
It is, but this one was put on our list first. And it's specific. There might be, some people might desire focusing on that.
Okay.
So all those in favor of the healthcare topic, please raise your hand. I don't see any votes.
I see zero.
Okay, next.
Housing, what is being done to regulate short-term rentals like Airbnb or Vrbo to encourage long-term rental? What can be done on Vashon Island for shelter for homeless at night when there is extreme weather, hot or cold?
So the housing questions, all those in favor, please raise your hand. I see one on Zoom.
And then the last. When you're ready.
Yeah.
What can the legislature do to assure effective community input on actions by utilities?
Yes, all those in favor
Actions by utilities.
of the, what can legislature do to assure effective community input on actions by utilities? All those in favor?
Said the last one.
I see
What's
one.
the last one? One. Where was one?
Was that it?
Where was the one?
Nicole?
That's it.
So we made it through our list. So I have the top two are the umbrella question followed by community solar. Right?
Yes.
So now we're gonna vote between the umbrella question about responding to the federal actions and cutbacks and the community solar question. All those in favor of the umbrella question, please indicate so by raising your hand. I have 9 plus 5 equals 14.
Could you repeat what question we're voting on right now, please?
It's on the umbrella question. Will you repeat it, please, Jen?
General, what is the state doing to add support given federal withdrawal of funds to food, housing, education, healthcare, and access to services? How is the legislature protecting us against federal control? For example, elections. And then to be expanded to include protections for LGBTQ plus and immigrant members of our community.
Everybody clear on what we're voting on? Or is anybody not clear?
Yes, thank you.
So I mean, there's some confusion there, so let's vote again on that, please. I'm absolutely clear. All those in favor of that question, please vote again. Greg, is your hand up today?
I'm gonna hold off for the next one.
Okay. Nine plus 6 equals 15. So what you got, Jen?
That's what I have.
Very well, our top, we're done with the questions, correct? Our top two vote getters were that umbrella question and the one about community solar.
Did you want me to read solar?
There were 3 who voted for community solar.
Oh, 3 voted for solar. In the last one, are we gonna vote?
We should vote again.
We should vote again.
We're gonna vote again to decide between those 2 runner-ups, right?
I thought we just voted for the general one.
That's all we voted for.
So we were in the runner-up process on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I got confused. Okay, so all those in favor of community solar, please raise your hands.
1, 2, 3.
1 in the room and 2 on Zoom. No, 3 again. Our winner is the umbrella question as we'll refine the wording a bit. And follow community solar. Thank you all for bearing with that process. I think we learned a lot about what to do and what not to do.
And just for clarification, JC, that you'll be going armed with both questions.
Mhm.
You'll be taking both questions.
Jessica will have both questions.
Okay.
Next item of business is a motion to urge King County to adopt certain Vashon-Maury related components of the Climate Action Plan. I'll turn to Kevin to present this.
Okay, JC, would you like me to read the motion at this time? I assume the answer is yes.
Yes, why don't you go ahead and read the motion, and then
Okay.
Laura, I can read the motion, and you can speak.
That's okay, JC, I've got it right here. Addressing the climate crisis is an important priority for Vashon-Maury Islanders. The Vashon-Maury Community Council therefore moves that the King County Strategic Climate Action Plan include these actions in the final action plan. Work with state agencies to incentivize Washington State ferry commuters to use more climate-friendly transportation options through fares and priority loading procedures. Electrify the Seattle-Vashon route water taxis. Advocate for policies that support development of private community solar installations. Extend net metering of rooftop solar. Expedite rooftop solar building permits, and limit property tax increases due to solar system installation. Number 4, reduce wildfire risk by encouraging electric utilities to expedite undergrounding or on-grounding of electric power lines. Number 5, implement the Metro Flex on-demand transit service on Vashon-Maury Islands. Number 6, include programs that advance the production and use of biochar. Number 7, expand energy audit programs to improve building weatherization and programs that incentivize installation of electric heat pumps for space and water heating. Number 8, extend programs that incentivize switching to electric appliances so that community-based and faith-based organizations are included in those programs. Number 9, develop programs that integrate home electric batteries with the power grid. Number 10, build local organic recycling facilities throughout the county. Number 11, incentivize reforesting all the land deemed not suitable for large-scale community solar installations. Number 12, include water management programs like water conservation rebates, low water use laundry and dishwasher incentives, and soil amendment programs to increase groundwater retention. Number 13, include virtual power plants as a future-ready infrastructure option. Conduct a Vashon-Maury battery energy storage systems siting analysis. And assess installation of a 1 megawatt solar array at the Vashon transfer station. Finally, the King County Strategic Climate Action Plan must include a clearly defined list of actions and their individual greenhouse gas emission reduction objectives, which together fully achieve the action plan's goal of a 95% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2050. I'm happy to provide a little bit of background and perhaps the reason that we're bringing this forward today, or questions, JC, whichever way you'd like to go.
I'd just like you, beyond reading it, to make some introductory remarks. Or actually, we should move it first. Is there a motion to adopt this?
I think we need a second.
Yeah, second.
So you're moving it, Kevin?
I am moving that, yes.
And Nicole, did you second it? Or you were just agreeing we need a second? Yeah, is there a second?
I'll second.
Fine, we have multiple seconds. Who was that? Was that Kathleen?
Yes.
Thank you, Kathleen. You're the second of record. And now, Kevin, will you please make some brief comments to introduce this?
Yes, so the King County Climate Action Plan is some 500 pages of detailed documentation. We've been working with King County over the last at least 6 months, and we've been working prior to that over the course of about the last year and a half to look at what kind of climate action planning might be appropriate for Vashon-Maury Islands. We learned that King County would be updating their plan, and so we engaged fully with them, attending multiple public hearings and reaching out to island organizations who, like Islanders for Ferry Action and Ferry Advisory Committee, regarding things like those loading procedures that would maybe incentivize people to use a carpool or to use a smaller vehicle. Like any motion of this type, there are multiple parts. I always think of this as if there's one of those things there that you could not live with, then this is not the motion you want to vote for. But like any legislation, it's always a compromise of multiple things, some of which you might really fully endorse, and some of the things you might like, I don't really care. But we've known from past that this council does not have sufficient time to debate each of these 13 items. So that's why we package it this way, so that we can actually be respectful of all of our time and be able to send some kind of a message. Does Vashon-Maury Island care about these types of issues going into the climate plan, which will be enforced for the next 5 years? The last comment on this motion recognizes that the existing plan, to the best of our interpretation, does actually not contain enough actions on the climate to meet the county's goal of a 95% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. We think that any plan should at least strive to be complete to achieve the goal of what the county is trying to achieve. And so that's why that's been included. Happy to answer any questions people might have. And I know I'm pretty sure we're probably limited on time, JC. So
thank you, Kevin. One question is, what is the urgency of this?
The strategic climate, well, let's see. First of all, Teresa Mosqueda's chief of staff asked us for inputs this Monday. So we did provide a detailed set of inputs. This is a summary of those items. The detailed inputs will be made available, and I've already emailed them into you and Nicole and Jessica. So that can be some background for people to take a look at these items. The council will vote sometime in September, is what we have been told. We haven't been told whether that will be early or late September. So it's something that's timely, for us to raise our voice about some of these elements that we think are appropriate to be included in the plan. Thanks for that question.
Thank you. Are there other questions?
Can I ask you a procedural question?
Yes, please.
So I don't know what group Kevin represents, but the idea that this is just wholesale adopt this or don't is not how the council has worked in the past. So typically the council reviews a proposal like this and makes changes in the proposal before they adopt it or reject it. And so is that what's going to happen between tonight and meeting in September?
Well, you're quite right, Mike. Any motion can be amended by the council. No one can just say, take it or leave it. I'll let Kevin speak for himself, but I didn't take it that way. So honestly, that's why you got that impression. But we will have the opportunity to debate each of the particulars and amend it if that involves changing the wording or striking some or adding others even. That is within the latitude of the council. Michael.
So I don't necessarily have a question, I have comments. on that.
Well, let me first see if there are any direct questions for Kevin as the mover before we go into general discussion.
I'd have to say, with only 20 minutes left, can we really debate this effectively?
Can we do what?
Really discuss this effectively
Can we discuss it?
in 20 minutes?
Well, we can discuss it as much as we can discuss it in 20 minutes. Are there other questions before we move to general discussion? Drew?
Yeah, Kevin, how do you measure the sea level rise around Vashon Island for this past year and the year before and the year before the year before?
That's not part of the motion, so I think that's a separate discussion.
Yeah, Mike?
What's bioturf?
Oh.
Is Steve,
Bio-
Steve Bergen in the room? Okay, biochar is a soil amendment which sequesters carbon and increases the productivity of agricultural farming and forestry and all kinds of other things.
Thank you.
It's like using charcoal.
Okay, I misheard what he said and I can't really read that from here, so.
Are there any questions for Kevin? Very well, we'll turn to discussion, and Michael, I know you have some comments.
Yeah, so basically, I thought I'd shut out, I'm in support of this. If 3 changes are made to these different numbered elements, I just wanted to point out that last year, I and a number of people on the Vashon Climate Action Group were able to give comments publicly and on the internet to King County about this plan. And there was an official comment period. I gave comment, many people gave comments. So I'm a little put off by the notion that this plan that was submitted to the King County Council in June, this is what I read on the internet, on the website for King County, was submitted in June, and here at the final hour, we're gonna suggest a whole bunch of additions to it. I don't necessarily disagree, but I think it's more the procedural approach of King County. And you know, this is a big issue these days that's in the book Abundance, how we liberals often are in some ways our own worst enemies because we come up with these systems and procedures where we drag things out so long it takes forever to get anything done. So that's my little rant there. But now I'll jump right into the 3 things that I think need more clarification. The first one is on the Metro Flex. Honestly, I didn't know what the hell Metro Flex meant, and I'm guessing that a lot of people don't know what the hell Metro Flex means. So Kevin, I would encourage you to put a link to Metro Flex, and then maybe something like the following quote. Metro Flex is your on-demand neighborhood transit service. With one simple app and just a few taps, you can ride anywhere in the service area, all for the same cost as a bus trip. I took that directly from the Metro Flex website. Another one is incentivize reforesting all land. So this is 11. Incentivize reforesting all land deemed not suitable for large-scale community solar installations. I read that and I go, oh my God, are we gonna like tear down all the buildings? And are we gonna reforest all the agricultural land in everybody's garden? Because the way that's worded, I mean, I know that's probably not what you meant, but the way that's worded, it makes me worried that we're gonna just put forests everywhere. And I'm sure that's not what you meant, but anyway, I suggest you work on the wording to modify that a little bit. And then on number 13, include virtual power plants as a future ready, blah, blah. Raise your hand if you think you could do a good job defining what the heck a virtual power plant is. I'm sure Kevin could. And I could do a halfway job of it. But the point again, Kevin, is just that you really need to put some kind of definition in there. So people who aren't energy experts will know what that means. So if you put that explanation on the virtual power plants, if you do a little word smithing on the number 11 on the all land thing, and if you do a little explanation on the Metroflex, I would support this.
Thank you, Michael. We have about 10 minutes for discussion. I'll open the floor. Yes, Mike?
So my concern is the first proposal, if you could run that down. What I believe is that this is a wonderful thing for people who have lots of money. Your work with agencies to incentivize Washington State commuters to use more climate-friendly transportation options through fares and priority loading procedures. What this tells me is that people who have lots of resources will be able to buy a different car, or if they happen to work in a particular place that would be accessible by a more climate-friendly transportation system, that they can take advantage of that. But who gets the brunt of this is people who can't afford to go off and buy a new car to replace their 20-year-old car, which is not efficient, because they don't have the money. And what you're telling me is you're going to tell them, because they can't afford a new car, that you're going to give them a low level of priority and loading on the boat so that they can't get to work, that they can't keep their selves together financially. This is particularly true. A lot of people on this island who are older, and there's lots of us, who may not be able to go off and buy another car to comply with this, or get a different job so that we can take a bus to the job. And I just have real social equity issues with number one. A lot of the rest of this stuff I am deeply in support of, but number one has got to go in my mind.
Thank you, Mike. Don?
Yeah, well, when we vote in Washington elections, we're given a pamphlet that lists the propositions, describes them in detail, has places arguments for and against, so that when I vote, and I vote regularly, I feel like I'm informed on everything I'm voting on. I can't vote on this because I don't know what half these statements mean. The ones, as you pointed out, the idea of putting forests on all the vacant land, not only concerned about replacing housing and agriculture, but I'm worried about climate change leading to more forest fires, which are all around us. I'm not sure that more forest on Vashon is a good thing. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's just an example. These are complicated issues. And I can't vote on them just based on getting this list right. I need a voter's brochure. We need debate of these things.
Thank you, Don.
What's the urgency? Again, I know it's always hard to ask.
King County is going to consider it and vote on it, I believe, sometime in September, but they were not able to clarify any more specifically than that.
In that case, I would move to hold a special meeting in 10 days and table this discussion until then.
Very well. Is there a second? There's been a motion to hold a special meeting. Did you set a time?
10 days.
A special meeting in 10 days to consider this and to table discussion until that time. Eric, do you have something you want to say to this motion or to the general motion?
Okay, the general motion, so I will hold off.
Just hold your
I'll hold off.
Please,
Point of order,
yes, Sam?
we can't hold it in 10 days because you need 10 days notice for a meeting. So it has to be beyond that.
Doesn't that cover that?
Only
Maybe
if it
it's
comes
10
out
days out.
today.
No, because this isn't a formal notice of it. It doesn't send out to everybody.
So it has to be a little bit beyond that in order for all the members to be notified that there's a special meeting.
Yeah.
But we need a second anyway, so.
What was seconded?
By who?
Mike seconded it.
Oh, okay.
10 days is, by the way, Labor Day. Right. Just let me know.
Well, it would have to be further out than 10 days. You want to revise your motion in that way?
Yeah, about 12 days to get from the count and from the board for a notice.
I didn't catch anything other than 12 days.
12 days to get approval for a notice from the board.
Okay. So the motion is to hold a special meeting in 12 days to further consider this and to table discussion until that time. It's a second. Are you okay with that amendment?
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion, Bill?
Well, as I said a minute ago, just having another meeting in 12 days isn't gonna help me. I wanna see the voters brochure, something analogous to what we get in our state elections, because I can come back in 12 days, I won't know anything more than I know now. If we're not given more information.
Well, in fairness, I should clarify that Kevin and his group did provide us with copious amounts of information on this that we will make available. It won't be like a voters brochure like you're saying, but there is a lot of background information we can make available.
I don't know where that is. I didn't know if this would, maybe I.
Well, we hesitated to not overwhelm the council, honestly, but I'm thinking we can put that on the website. So it'll be available to everybody. Understand?
I would suggest we do it that way rather than hold a special meeting. We might not get a quorum even for a special meeting to discuss it. I like the idea of putting it on the website. I like the idea of having not a lot of pages, but more information on each one of those, that people who aren't familiar with these topics will get enough information that they will feel comfortable in actually voting on this slate. Because they won't be voted on one by one. The proposal is to vote the whole thing. But there does need to be,
That's not the way this works.
well, it's the way it had, with the motions.
The council has the option to vote on it out.
Absolutely, but the council has to vote on that, because right
Yes,
now,
that's right.
this motion is to vote on this all as a package.
That's right. But as I'm saying, it nonetheless can be amended, including voting on them separately, to take actions of the council.
That's correct.
Michael?
Well, this ties back into my rant earlier. And yeah, the fact is, if you're not an energy expert, you're probably gonna have trouble understanding a lot of this, as some people have said. And I've worked in energy a long time, and I had trouble with some of it. And the problem related to that is this is all coming again at the very end, right before the King County Council is gonna vote on it. It's just bad timing for such a complex issue. Like I said, I vote for it, but that's me. I've worked and understand a lot of these issues, but yet I have empathy for a lot of the people out there who don't. And it could take hours and hours of reading and study and training of them to get them up to speed on all this. So I just put that out there as that's the reality that I see.
How do you feel about having a special meeting to consider this in 12 days?
Well, yeah, if people support a special meeting to have like 2 hours devoted to talking about the details, that might help. That might help people understand.
I do have something to contribute on this, if I may.
brief time we have left? Yes, Eric? Is this to whether or not to have a special meeting?
Yes, it's on this question.
Okay, please go ahead.
So I think the point is very well taken about the last minute nature of this, but to ameliorate that, I'm one of the people that have been on the committee that have developed the recommendations, and the major points have all been divided up amongst the four of us. And there are point people per issue who can be contacted and are available to discuss each issue. Also, what's been put before the council is the highest, most summarized level of recommendation. There is another document that is slightly more full of information, but not too crazy. That is the next step to check in on for a topic area that you're interested in. And then below that is the full detail of the draft plan itself. So by looking through the top list that we presented and finding the topic you have of interest, looking at the next level few paragraphs to see what's said about that issue, and possibly reaching out to the point person on that topic area for a conversation would be a way that we could prepare ourselves for some kind of informed vote and discussion when we get back together. And I hope Kevin is there nodding in agreement that that kind of process would be available to anyone who is interested to learn more.
Thank you very much, Eric. Kevin, you have your hand up.
Yes, the document that Eric has just referred to is got 12 pages of information, so about a 1 page for each of these items on average. We do define there what a virtual power plant is. We also define what a MetroFlex program is. But Michael, thanks for those suggestions, because we can make sure that we provide appropriate links to those documents. I'd like to speak a little bit to the schedule, which we of course are not in charge of. King County, the Executive Climate Office released the draft climate action plan to the council about a month ago. Michael, I think you mentioned you thought that the product had been like sitting on a shelf for 6 months or so. I'm not quite sure if you meant to imply that, but that is not indeed not the case at all. We have had this document in our possession for maybe a month. So what we done, as Eric said, the four of us have gone through in these areas that we had already previously identified as key areas that we thought were important to Vashon-Maury Islanders, to see if indeed they were or were not included in the plan. These are things that we suggested that indeed are not there. Again, we would love to know exactly when the council is going to vote on this. I bet the council would love to know that too. What we saw in the past is that these things get scheduled with other actions, just like this community council, based on other priorities. So it might be September, it might be October, it might be November. Hopefully we'll get some clarity as we go forward on that point. And we've been asking pretty repeatedly over the course of the last 3 weeks. Eric, thank you for mentioning that each of these items has a person that with contact information, email, and phone number that you can call and talk through the details if the summary we've provided leaves you still with some questions.
Thank you, Kevin. In light of the time, I'm going to move to a vote on Drew, is this to the motion whether or not there should be a special meeting? That's what we need to vote on, right? Whether there'll be a special meeting in 12 days.
August
And
2nd.
tabling this until that is moot. All those in favor of having a special meeting with the council in 12 days, please raise your hand. You have 5 plus 3. And all those opposed, please raise your hand. Four. So we go 5. 4 plus 1, is that what you got, Jim?
Yes.
So by a vote of 8 in favor, 5 opposed, or 2, oh, actually, now I see 2. 8 in favor, 6 opposed. Correct? There'll be a special meeting call for 12 days hence devoted to this motion in particular. I'll just take, it's 9 o'clock, but I'll just invite any announcements the last minute or two. Are there any announcements, George?
Yes, the rise in the sea level was 7/100th of an inch last year.
Okay, thank you. Are there any announcements? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor of adjourning, please raise your hand. All those opposed?
I didn't get the Zoom count.
I got 13 in favor and David, are you voting?